Hello all, welcome to another motivational table talk video with Maris Free. I am glad to present to you this video on father. This came about because of a previous video on Mother Earth, and while talking about Mother Earth, I came to realize that we hardly talk about Father Earth. Like if we have a male and a female, a man and a woman, that a man and a woman that make up a humanity, and our Mother Earth, our Earth is a whole. So what about the other side, and why is it only called Mother Earth? And also its nature called Mother Nature. Like what about Father? And I really want to respect and appreciate those able to enable it be this way, that you may even think there's a problem with it, but to look at it on the brighter side, we begin to see intelligence, the intellect of humans, of our beings, to see that of all existence there's only one Father, and Father is the authority, the highest of authority, of power and caring. Like I said, that a woman have all the abilities of a male except for the emotional side of a woman that makes them makes them a step behind the male. And so also, do we see our being of a male and a female, a father and mother, is a mother one step behind the father, meaning that the father is the overall, the first origin of all existence, of the planets, the sun, the moon, the unknown and the known. We have known of the galaxy, of our own galaxy, and maybe there are many other galaxies. And at the end of the day, or at the end of the road, all that really matters is where all of these existence originate from. That it should be of peace that have no storm. That we have come into our mind, our head round, like a whole, like the earth whole. It's like we are all a reflection of every to the origin. It's like a step. When you take a step to me, it takes it starts with a step to get to the end of the journey. Every journey starts with a step, is what I'm trying to say. So of every simplicity that we have, we are able to see the origin of us. That even if it's a complex, we look for the simple, the most simple of this complex to learn before we can even understand the whole. Like I say, of the ocean, it's from the drop of water that you have to start to know, because the ocean is water. It's just only a complex of the drop of water. So it's the same thing that I'm trying to help us get to understand what we are missing of this journey, that we keep on combating each other, and of it starts even of this, the combat starts even of within of the mind, disorientated of who am I, where are we going, and all this, some greater than others, why, and even of my greatness that I am, why is there another problem? So it means that there must be another who is greater than I, that the humans end up being like, oh, so this is not just all about us, there must be others more than the human flesh that we are. And that when we see that our ancestors are able to leave us, it means that are they going to somewhere where we come from, that being of a human we do not know. And if we do not know our origin from where we come from, like a baby, this is only about simplicity. Atheists, those who don't relate with spirituality, this is our basic. And if we look at it, we see that we all relate with it, in the sense that we all have this side of us that should be able to acknowledge this presence of, what if I'm only a human being? What if I didn't know my origin? And this is just all about me being of a flesh. where am I from, and all that questioning. Like you could be, you could take the role, even of those who say they know where they come from before being in the human flesh, can just try to take the role and help those to get to understanding, which is only possible by trying to be like, pretend to be like them. Does not mean that you are telling a lie, but trying to be in, like an adult who goes down to crawl with the baby, so that the baby should learn that, hey, before I was walking, before I got to walk, I crawled like you. So the matter of getting to that simplicity, that even if you've gone to the ocean, and the ocean so so much of a of the ocean, so much of a complexity, you are able to help those who are only drops to get to know what a drop is like, that you had known. So how we get to do this matters, in the sense that it has to be of peace with no storm. That even if there's harm, we try to seek for the least of the harm, to the point where there is no harm at all, because all what we know that we are is peace, and the storm only a complication or a disease we have to heal from. And unfortunately, we have labeled some of us diseases, that it has come to a place where we are pointing at others like the problem, of which we all have a problem, just that some are just more of a serious side than we are, of those more drunk than those that are tipsy, of those that are in the chronic state than those that are in the acute. So the greatest of us, of the four, are those that are really facing the really difficulties. If the acute doesn't get healed, it's going to take so much longer time for those of the chronic to get healed, because they have to watch the acute heal for them to be able to heal. Because the acute, being in the lesser state, are able to recover, and they are recovering, at the chronic watching and being able to take a step. And if the acute is not healing, it tells the chronic, oh, I may never get to healing. So how do we relate with all this, so that we can be able to help each other get right? That when you see someone more complicated, is it telling you, the acute state, that, oh, I'll never heal, I'll only just get worse, because this one was acute, surely has now become worse? Of them telling you, I was like you, but I tell you, I only grew worse. And then you begin to see that, okay, but I come from a state which is more positive than this. So can we not reverse back to it? Or what is stopping us from reversing back? Of us trying to reverse, as some in the acute state, only trying to become chronic, of those trying to heal, as some only trying to go into those of chronic, and getting more and getting back to the acute, and needing another zone to belong in, like an intermediate. So it's like still another form of going, of regressing, of making another intermediate of us. And I hope we are trying to follow where I'm going to, with why Father of the earth not being labeled, but a Mother Earth and Mother Nature, showing our disability and struggle. We're trying to get back to whole, but only seeing ourselves going worst. It's like we can never get better. It's like there's it's like there's the acute now getting to chronic now. They're trying to separate. There are some in the middle who only keeps going to the chronic, because there's something called peace of us, that is called love. Love meaning caring, emotional. Like you must seek the other, because we are one. We can't separate from each other. Like the ocean, I said, a ripple of a drop of water, it affects all the ocean. Sometimes we'll say, oh, no, we don't see it over here, so it's not affecting us. But you may say us yet, but it has, but just that it is of a lesser proportion where you are. Of you being able to see someone in pain is already you getting affected. even though you haven't felt the pain, what it's like, such that you trying to help them should be right over immediately of best, so that you don't become another kind of complication that no one knows about, of you seeing them depressed for so long, of you seeing them in pain for so long, develop depression. And it's like, what is depression? And it's a new kind of a pain. And then those that are in pain are like, so there's another one that we can also have with what we have. And it's now becoming more of a complication. Mother Earth, we are limited. So this shows less experience of us, less experience. And this less experience is not only of our earth, but of every other being that we have noticed, we have experienced, of our ancestors. They knew only about where they were living, the garden. Well, the Christians would say Garden of Eden. The Indians, I know of their gods, the gods that all of these are us of power. I'm trying to make sure I'm not leaving out the atheist. This is why I'm trying to make sure that however I'm getting into the spirituality of us, I'm not leaving out the atheist, or making anyone not worthy of being because they choose to not believe in a God. But their reason of not believing in a God does not mean that they don't they don't know what is good, and good is God. And we know good peace that have no storm is God. And God, to many, is a father. To some, they say mother. Well, not far from the truth, because we when you come into the physical, all you know is the earth, until until we got to the place of knowing the planets from school. I was in Cameroon. I didn't know about planets until I went to school and learned about, there's this planet and this, and until knowing names of Jupiter and all those, and closest to the sun, Mercury, and it's like, whoa, these do exist. Even if I haven't really seen them, but at least it could be because I see the sun, I see the moon, which are above. And so I must not go to the ocean, you know what I mean, to know what water is like. And being able to at least understand the little that you know is enough and worthy, like a foundation. Build your foundation before any next step that comes to you. Be it you going there or it coming to you, build your foundation. And building your foundation is of two. We have to know that building a foundation is of two. There's a negative and there's a positive. We are trying to build a foundation of positive alone, that we know every seed grows, meaning that if it's a negative seed, it's going to grow. If it's a positive seed, it's going to grow, depending now on you, how you deal with it. And then you see that you are power. You are power and you are caring, and you are a whole human, but you have to be able to develop that by being able to see the other side of you, the male, if you are a female, and receive from the male what you're lacking of your being a female, and the male also looking at the female receives from the female what they're lacking of being a man, to be a whole human. And the humanity now is of the mind, that when we are whole of the mind, we connect, we become, we make the balance of us. And while the flesh is like a book that we study from, and we have the test from it. You study your body parts, you study yourself. I'm a female, I have this, that. The male have that. Okay, why am I different? You now your test comes, why am I different, and all that. You start putting the answers. This I found, that I have found. So how do I fulfill my being? Now is the knowledge of both that you put together, now that makes you the what. And this is what we are heading to, coming to understand the earth should be a whole, and not just a mom. If it's a mother earth, then where is the male? Is there a male earth somewhere? Okay. If it's a spiritual male earth, and that is power, I'm not going to be surprised. For some have believed that we have a two side of we have a two world, and the other side is we could say is the male side, because the physical should be the most the most simple of every existence of being, that we know, that of the other side, maybe to them, maybe if someone is, if people, if there are some images in the in planet Jupiter, will be seeing themselves like the most simplicity, they're the most simple of all existence, because that's all they know. So what you know is your simplicity getting to what you don't know. That, even like I was saying in the previous video, that a primitive, what we of some who say I'm from a civilized society, you look at the primitive like they lack knowledge. But when you go to live with them, you start seeing that you have to learn some things, and you start seeing yourself like a savage, like one that needs to learn. And they also, if they have to come to your side, will see you like, hey, I have to learn something. So at the end, we all learning on both sides. We start seeing that there is a lacking. So it still brings out the male and the female side that needs to be fulfilled. And so it tells us that having all these planets and the earth is like a glass that is broken into pieces that needs to get to whole. And now getting to whole now takes us now to the true origin of all existence, of known or unknown, that of any being that will come across that lacks stability, of peace that have no storm, is not the true father. It's not the true father. And that makes us see that we have only one father, and we know father is power, power is control. There should be one that is able to control, that is peace, that stills the storm. Because like I said, there is no possibility that there was a storm before peace. Because if there was storm before peace, then peace will not exist. Because there will be no way a paper can come out of fire. So if there's a paper and it's catching on fire, and fire, and there's fire on it, it's gonna be burning and burning. But I tell you, how much pain we receive now is so complicated. It's like the seed has grown so loud that some now begin to cherish peace. Like, hey, peace, you are powerful. I can't believe you, how powerful you are, that with all these complications that we feel of the simplicity of us, we have still been able to see you in a being, in every being. Like, if even if the world, our earth, should end today, how long have our earth been? Of 4.5, the numbers are like billions, 4.5, billions of years that the earth has been of peace. Like, hey, how long has that been? Like, how powerful are you, peace, for how much storm we have seen? It's like one day shouldn't, if the storm was before the peace, I tell you, the earth wouldn't be lasting for a second, I bet. We all can acknowledge that. So now, who are we? We are peace. We're a stable ground. We are a stable ground, that now having a disorientation of the two, that even of the male and the female, they all have an unfairness. They're trying to correct back to fairness of what they're lacking. It shows us that there's a negative that happens when we get disabled, when we fall short of understanding of the whole that we are supposed to be enough, which takes us to understanding that that the earth, being called Mother Earth, is lacking the side of the Father. That when we begin to call Mother Nature, call the nature, which are the elements of the earth, the power of the earth, which comprises of fire, of water, of light, night, in the wind, the all that enables the beings to exist. And the beings, like the beings are it comes from the bearing of the beings is the female side. The existence of us is the female side that we call mother, that we are able to tell that the earth is Mother Earth. And then the power that enables this to be of existence, all that I have named of our ecosystem, we begin to see that it should be called Father Nature. Why is it instead called Mother Nature? It's power. Considering that power, males are more of power and the females are more of caring, bearing, and emotional. So why is the powers, the water, the ocean, all these powers, why are they called Mother Nature? And then I realized that, hey, this is because all these are limitations, are a struggle, which shows our weakness. And being weak is like is a step behind being strong. Being low self-esteem is a step behind being of self-worth. And self-worth is the Father who is complete, one that is complete, of being able to balance power and caring. We in a fallen state, or of a shortcoming, or disorientation or misunderstanding, begin to see our whole, being able to put our strength and weakness together, to be able to work with them together. And that is like a positive and a negative. We'll never get to a place of positive, because we have learned even from mathematics that positive plus sign and negative sign gives us a negative. That even when we get to the place of peace, of being able to use of fire to discipline, or water to discipline the earth, or the beings on the earth, still leaves us behind with some disadvantages, some unfairness, which we mourn and lament on. Even though we learn by lamenting, which is not good, because the lamentation grows into something else, which is low self-esteem, and we start seeing ourselves